down.
The off-related connection between UFOs and nukes is the opposite of what many believe, that they are warning us of our own impending self-destruction. It's because it's the only thing that can harm them. As advanced as they are, they cannot get away from the blasts. The Cuban Missile Crisis was related to UFOs. He says they learned a lot from what happened in the Cuban Missile Crisis. He also references another test at the same time that may have brought a UFO down. The test also involved EMP. But he's not being very specific on what that test was.
Okay, right. So let's pause for a second. So now what is this? This is a threat-based narrative, okay? They're scared of us and the weapon. We have a weapon they can't have. This technology that we probably shouldn't be using, right? So it's like pro-nuke.
Yeah, pro-nuke.
It's pro-nuke. It's really pro-nuke. And it's scaring the UFOs. It's all...
It's fucking scaring humans.
Manipulation. And what we know from UFOs, they fly over, they fly over, and they either like shut it down briefly, or they fly over and just like make everything go weird for a second. I mean, I get why national security apparatus is like, yeah, I get why national security thinks it's a threat, but what are they saying there? Like, they're not doing anything. They shut it down for 10 seconds and fly away. Like, what does that say to you? Like, if they wanted to do something, they do it. They're making a point. So again, it's just like the way you look at it and how it's angled. Again, this is like threat-based BS to me.
This kind of relates into where I started feeling a little bit, this feels a little bit propagandistic with yay, U.S. military might and weapons, and we're America, fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, he goes into how like America like is leading the charge around the world.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to go into, yeah. Yeah,
but we're not even there yet. Let's just talk about nuclear bombs.
All the world's governments are fighting these things, and they know all about it. But America's leading the charge, and you'd be so proud of our boys in blue. And it just felt like. Did I say boys in blue? I did say boys in blue.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
the red, white, and blue.
I love the Australian guy says the boys in blue. Like, what are they? The police officers?
The boys in blue. The red, white, and blue is what I was saying. Like, it just felt. Like, if that was true, I'd be like, yay, America, we're doing it. But, yeah, it just felt a little propaganda-y, if that is indeed a word.
I mean, yes. I feel, this is just a personal opinion, but if they are scared of us awakening and evolving as humans and coming together as mankind, as he says, isn't that a little scarier than, blowing them up with the nuclear weapons, and then of course harming how many human lives and the environment at the same time, right? Doesn't that seem?
Yeah.
He kind of contradicts himself a little bit.
Right. I mean, he specifically says it's the EMP part of the blast that they really can't. That really fucks with their systems. And I'm like, well, just make an EMP weapon, dude. We don't need the radiation.
right. It's easy to pick apart.
Oh, he also says UFO crashes are sometimes to give us technology, quote unquote, help, but it's not really help. It's designed to allow one side an advantage and perpetrate conflict between human factions.
Right.
So when I first read that, I thought, there's this idea that they would crash so that we could have UFO technology. But then he's saying, but it's to create more conflict between humans. But then if we go down to more, if we read, there's so much. So we're going to post this article. You guys can read every single line, but we can't possibly go through every single line. But then he goes into what you guys were saying. He says that the American works with his supposed enemies on this topic. The Cold War was not just between the U.S. and the Soviets. It was also a Cold War between humanity and the others. There was a small group of people on both sides, Russian and American, that were using the nuke tests against the others as a way to swat some bugs out of the sky. So basically he's saying...
I really like that idea.
Yeah, that like Russia and America have been working together.
Right.
Like it's like all these countries that are we're quote unquote fighting each other right now. We're actually working together against the others. But we can't tell you that.
Yeah, when you say there's like this world stage where we're all kind of like jockeying for position to be the best in the world or whatever, but it really is a stage and it's all theater. And behind the scenes, we're actually all working together, which is like weird. Like why would we bother with this theater?
It seems oddly complicated, but okay.
Well,
maybe it's factions of the different countries who know what's going on, but again, why the secrecy? Wouldn't more people knowing this help fight against it? I don't know.
Well,
I have questions. I have so many questions.
We have more questions than answers. Okay, so another thing he says, Reagan and Gorbachev were working together on the UFO topic. Reagan knew what was going on. He references it in his famous speech about humanity uniting against extraterrestrial threat, which is real. That is a real speech in front of Congress. You can watch it on the internet. We can also post it on our site so you can watch it. And it's weird because it comes out of left field, and you're like, yeah, of course we'd want to be together, to get against extraterrestrials. But like nobody ever takes it seriously. So I don't know if he's just taking pieces of things that actually exist that have been kind of talked about in history, and then he kind of like reverts it into like whatever narrative he's trying to push.
Yeah, a little bit of that feels like it's going on. Yeah, exactly. Especially the next line is highly interesting.
The tech we've discovered isn't being hidden from us for money, for the patent. It's for patents. It's being hidden from the ET phenomenon. So we're hiding the secret space program. We're making it secret because we don't want the ETs to know that we have the technology. But
it's such clear like disinformation. Just think about how crazy that is. So this advanced race that can mess with us at will, we're hiding something from them, even though they can fly over our nuclear sites and stop the nukes like anytime they want. So we can't hide anything from them. So like that alone is ridiculous.
Maybe they threw a blanket over it.
Right, like what did they do? Like how'd they hide it? Like, come on,
it's covered
that's so ridiculous. That's clear disinformation. Like this is bullshit. This is not the disclosure that I want. It's not the people's disclosure. That's for damn sure.
This disclosure does not agree with Josh. Okay, everybody, this does not work.
No.
Like a gluten-filled beer, it just doesn't agree with him.
Unless it's Papa Tittle's beer. Papa Tittle's beer is legit. My stomach feels good right now. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Homegrown tittle beer.
Yeah. I feel strongly about that, and I really do. Like, I know I'm leaning in here, but that's crazy. So they're holding a technology that could alleviate human suffering on a wide scale, which is what they want anyways. Remember, that's their whole goal. We're going to come together and we're going to alleviate human suffering. But they have the tech to do it, but they don't let it out because they're worried that these interdimensional beings might see it. But these beings know they can see anything they want anytime. Like, the whole thing is clearly manipulated. He is the mouthpiece for a disinformation campaign. For disclosure, threat-based disclosure, for weaponized space.
I think that there's just a lot of like random thoughts. I mean, he does make a case for if Atlantis existed, that they blew it up because we became too advanced for our own good. So maybe that plays into it all. But there's some other things he does say about disclosure which are really interesting.
Yeah, wasn't all bad.
The reason political figures are talking about UFOs, including Hillary, is not for votes. He knows why candidates are talking about it is because the reason is it's time for it to come out of the shadows. The cover-up guys are skeptical of politics and believe that political division may be the result of the manipulation of the others. When they hear divisive politicians and political ideas, they say to each other, what a great formula for war, isn't it? So
yeah, that's interesting.
He's saying that like they're trying to get it out there because it's time, but then people are still under the influence of others.
Why now?
Because
that's what I don't understand. Is like he says because now's the time. Why? Who decided that? Why is now the time?
Yeah.
Why didn't we do it 10 years ago? Why aren't we doing it 10 years from now? Like what makes now so special?
I'll tell you why, Matt O'Connor. It lines up. It's getting scarier and scarier. It literally lines up with the list that Carol Rosen received from Warner. Carol Rosen received from Warner von Braun. It all starts with these threats. At first, it was like Russia and the Soviets, and then it was rogue nation states, and then it was terrorism. And guess what's after terrorism? A false alien threat, an alien attack. It's all manipulated. All these things are manipulated. That's what we're heading towards. So, like, it's just, I don't know. Like, that plan is unfolding. Like, it's scary.
Crazier,
like, I thought I was...
And crazier. And crazier. And then when you just thought it got too crazy, it gets crazy. I'm sorry. I'm quoting Randy if you haven't listened to the episode with Randy.
Oh, Randy.
Crazier. Crazier.
I don't know. Yeah, the build up to this, it does seem like it's this sort of long planned idea that's kind of being implemented right now. But at the same time, do we just not treat it like, hey, this might be a threat? Do we just kind of like carry on like no, there's no big deal and just ignore this and then it's too late? Or like if I was an invading alien species, I would convince the world that A, I didn't exist, and then B, if that just came out anyway, I would I would say we're not a threat, and we're all friends, and we just come here to gently butt probe you. We're going to lube first. Don't worry about it.
Uh-oh. You're kind of shitting on
probing.
Josh's parade a little bit with the butt probe.
They come out with like, they come out with a bottle of coconut oil.
So let's think of, inside joke there. So what if
Can't explain.
if there were positive ETs and the majority were positive, why is it that it isn't a thing? Why don't they make themselves known? Why don't they help us out? And there's that old idea of, well, it's this like united universal federation rule that they can't interfere with humanity, and I like this is a fucking cop out. Like, why wouldn't
is it though? Is it though, Matt? Because we try to do the same things to indigenous cultures. We fail a lot, and we've failed and done horrible things. But even today, like we try to stay away from indigenous cultures in the middle of the Amazon to leave them alone. Like, I mean, we do that to our own people. So why wouldn't they give us free will, like the Bible says? Like maybe they built us as a slave species, like Zechariah Sitchin says in the Sumerian tale of creation. Maybe that's true, and then they let us go, and then a council did step in and said, you got to let them fail on their own now. And maybe we do have free will. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean,
but
We
does
do
that
have
negate
free
them
will.
from letting us know they exist, though? Like if
No.
they just said, "Hey, we exist. We're not going to give you shit, but hey, how's it doing? How you going down there?"
Well, they wouldn't
Yeah.
come. I mean, if they were controlling us, why would they make themselves known unless they were to come into a form that we would think was pleasing? So that's what he's warning. Sometimes people that are like doing all this stuff are in contact with not such good spirits. But he also admits that there's a higher power. Like you can literally connect with something higher, and that will save you or something. But he said, I want to say something really interesting about what you're saying. He says, we need to change the way we treat each other, as it's not humanity's fault we hate each other. We've been designed to hate each other by the schemes of the others. Our behaviors were designed to lead to hate and war. We need to put the weapons down and look up at who has been causing all of this. But then he keeps like supporting nuclear weapons. I'm so confused.
No, he's like, hey, we need to stop fighting each other. We need to fight something else. It's like trading war. It's
like the whole idea of like, let's consolidate every country and become a whole planetary new world order, and then we have another enemy to fight eventually. Yeah,
You say you want
it's a tough one. There's so many questions. It's a sticky little nutty chewy mess of a. I don't know. It's
gross.
I don't know where I was going with that, but it's deep and it's dark and there's a lot of twists and turns that I don't know. Oh Jesus! I'm going to try and backpedal furiously now. Out of this.
Just go
innuendo.
confidently go forward.
Where no man
I knew you
has
were gonna love
gone
this shit,
before.
Matt. Though, as soon as I read ET's manipulating humanity, I was like, "O'Connor's gonna love this shit. He's gonna come at me hard."
Yeah, I'm feeling it. Look, there's a lot of things in here. So we'll just do like some final thoughts maybe before we wrap this up. I think there's a lot of things in here that are worth sort of looking into and listening to. I think you kind of got to be picky and choosy and really sort of think about what's behind it and why he's saying that and why he's maybe being led to say these things sometimes. I think there's no black and white.
Did I change your mind? Did I change your mind halfway through this?
No,
I feel like you
I'm
came in strong like you was the others. And by
Absolutely.
The end, wait,
Uh-oh.
did I win? Or am I winning? Is
Fuck
this it?
that. No, I don't.
Probes,
I just don't think it's black and white.
Probes.
I don't think either side. And again, here's the division again. We're seeing it again here. I don't think the threat-based or the Space Brothers side has it all correct. I think it's probably a mix of both.
Sure,
And
I can get behind that.
use your intuition and your fucking brain. Think about it a little bit before we dive on board either side.
Sure. Listen, before you take us home, my last thought is this. Aliens aren't bad. Sure, there's bad aliens. Okay, I know I just contradicted myself. But most are not. Right now, I believe that the science and my own experiences and other people's experiences, that we are one consciousness. I believe that now. Now, if that is true, any advanced race would also understand that. If they're a million years ahead of us, then they probably would be extremely